Hello everyone, I'm Nitoyang. In this video, I'll explain how to check the time to full inventory with the IV Calc. By understanding the time to full inventory, you'll be able to discover much more efficient ways to manage your Pokémon. Alright then, let's get started. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know how the carry limit affects a Pokémon's strength? The carry limit is shown right here in this part of the screen. Let me also briefly explain how carry limit is calculated. First of all, the base value for the carry limit differs depending on the Pokémon species. For Wigglytuff, it's 23. It increases with an inventory up sub-skill. This Wigglytuff has the inventory up L sub-skill, giving it 80 more. It also goes up with a good night ribbon you earn through sleep time. This one has over 1000 sleep hours with me, so it adds 6 more. Adding them up, 23 plus 18 plus 6 equals a total of 47. So then, what does the carry limit affect? When a Pokémon completes a help, a magnifying glass icon appears. At this point, the Pokémon is secretly holding berries and ingredients. Think of it like this. There are berries and ingredients inside a bag. The size of this bag is what we call the carry limit. As each help interval passes, berries accumulate inside. They keep increasing one by one, just like this. Sometimes ingredients increase too. In some cases, a single help might bring in 4 honey at once. Now it has reached the maximum. This state right here is what we call full inventory. After this, all helps become sneaky snacking. The sneaky snacking state has the following important characteristics. 1. It only picks up berries. Just like this, only berries end up being delivered directly to Snorlax. Ingredient specialty Pokémon definitely want to avoid this. You put them on your team specifically to gather ingredients, but they end up only collecting berries instead. On to the next characteristic. 2. The main skill lottery does not take place. Even for Pokémon in sneaky snacking mode, tapping on them might sometimes make it look like a skill is triggered. But that's actually a skill that was drawn before full inventory, when the Pokémon was picking up items into the bag. If you tap once on the Pokémon and then leave it without collecting the berries or ingredients, however long you wait, skills won't trigger. In short, even skill specialty Pokémon, if they are left sitting with a full inventory, the number of skill triggers will decrease compared to when you tap more frequently. To summarize, for ingredient and skill specialty Pokémon, you want to avoid full inventory as much as possible. So naturally, you want to know how long it takes for your Pokémon to reach a state of full inventory, right? So let's go ahead and check the time to full inventory using the IV Calc. Now let's check the time to full inventory using IV Calc. Let's go ahead and enter the Wigglytuff information I explained earlier. First, select Wigglytuff from the Pokémon list. This time, let's filter by typing the first 2 letters of the Pokémon's name. Last time, I explained how to use filter button to save time. But if you can quickly recall the Pokémon's name, this method might be faster for you. Personally, I'm not great at remembering Pokémon names, so I tend to use the filter button. Select the nature as well, and then finally select sleeping time shared. And there we go, the carry count is now 47. This matches the in-game value. Now that we've entered all the data, tap the eye icon next to frequency. On this screen, you can see how the actual frequency is listed for each energy value. If you change value to help count, you can also check the exact number of times your Pokémon helps per hour. Tap here to check the time remaining until your inventory is full. I'll explain how to read this screen later, but let me also show you another display method. For those familiar with the IV Calc, many of you may manually use the box and energy tabs. In that case, here's the fastest way to get there. First, select the target Pokémon from the box. Next, in the settings in the middle, confirm that period is set to time range. If it shows help, X10 or whistle, please select 1 day or similar. Next, tap the eye icon here. Change the top tab to frequency. Change display value to time to full inventory. Now you can see the same graph as before. Let's finally move on to how to read the graph. The most important part of the graph is the red line in the center. This line shows the average time to full inventory. You can see the time written above the line. This Pokemon's inventory fills up at 11 hours 50 minutes. It has a large carry limit, so the time is quite long. Next, let me explain the difference between the blue and gray areas. The blue area shows the 90% probability range for when the inventory fills up. The range values are also shown in this section above. When you leave your Pokemon, there is a 1 in 10 chance that it will fill up within this range. Tapping on the 90% lets you change the percentage value. Let's try setting it to 50%. The range has narrowed quite a bit. When you leave this Pokemon, its inventory will fill up within this range 1 out of 2 times. Now let's try 99%. The range has expanded quite a bit. The chance of filling up outside this range is about 1 in 100. So, this Pokemon should be safe to live for 9 hours. Note that this assumes a helping bonus with 1 Pokemon on the team. Let's check what happens with 5 Pokemon. It changed to 7 hours 6 minutes. Changing the energy value will also change the time, so feel free to try it. Let me also explain some other useful features. Tapping on the graph shows the probability of filling up at a specific time. For example, leaving for 8 hours 17 minutes means 35 helps will occur. There's a 9.1% chance it fills up before this time, 5.2% at this exact time, and 85.8% after this time. The icon in the top right of the graph lets you switch graph types. The second graph shows the cumulative probability of filling up by that time. Since the inventory always fills up eventually, the probability approaches 100% toward the right. In probability terms, the first is a frequency distribution graph, and the second is a cumulative frequency graph. They display the same data, just in different ways. Sorry if this was confusing. If you're not sure, just use whichever one you prefer. That's all for this video. Now, let's have a relaxing after-talk segment. It's been almost 4 months since the last video. I was actually experimenting with different ways to make videos. For the previous video, I used a video editing software called DaVinci Resolve. The narration was done by a text-to-speech software called IV Speech. Both are free to use, but operating them with a mouse was a hassle. So I switched to Remotion for video editing and QuenTTS for text-to-speech. They require programming, but since AI can build the foundation, it was easier for me. Plus, the English and Japanese narrations are spoken in my own voice. It was a fresh experience hearing myself speak English fluently, even though I can't actually speak it. Thanks to this, I gained more creative options, but it ended up taking longer than before. Next time, I can reuse the components I made this time, so I believe I can make videos faster. The problem is that once I start, I tend to get too absorbed in the details. Now, it's really the end. Goodbye everyone. See you next time. Thank you for watching until the end. Likes, subscriptions, and hype would really encourage me.